Views expressed on this program are those of the host, guest, and callers and are not necessarily those of KKNW, its management, or other advertisers. This program is sponsored by Loretta Brown and Reiki Oasis.
Woohoo! Hello, good morning. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, awaken the consciousness. Benny, dancing in.
Who doesn't like to dance in? We're doing it like back-to-back weeks. We kind of do it from show to show, from time to time. If you're not doing it, you should, right?
You should.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, especially if you're grumpy, you know, just put that music on and kind of, you know, like what would happen if you were dancing with the kids in the morning? Uh-oh.
Well, how dare you, first of all, being grumpy on a Thursday? It's not going to happen. Shouldn't happen.
No. It shouldn't at all. Yeah. A lot of my clients are like, everybody's like, Loretta, what happened to the summer? I go, it's still summer.
Still here in Seattle today, especially.
Don't say goodbye to it until you have to,
Yep.
right? You know, yep. I guess, you know, we're coming up on Labor Day in school and maybe I said some bad words in there. But yeah, just take it a day at a time. Enjoy those last little bits of whatever. And yeah, we almost always have a great September here in the Seattle area and kind of have, you know, nice weather, Indian summer.
Mhm.
I did notice that the leaves outside my office, I looked out and I went, oh, they're starting to change colors. So they do give us clues that change is in the air.
Mother Nature's doing her thing.
Our wisdom teacher.
Yes,
she's definitely our wisdom teacher. And I don't know, isn't that what it's all about, right? We got to go through the seasons. And I don't know, I love fall. I love it. I like the crispness of the air and all that kind of stuff. I'm not so good in the dark part of January and February. I have to admit it. You know, so get your seasonal lights. I'm just thinking ahead. Betty. Just thinking ahead.
it's all good.
Yep. Anyway, I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area for the last 27 years. And yeah, we're still up and running. I am doing a lot of Zoom sessions as well as in-person sessions. And, you know, I have clients all over the world is how that works because I just been around for a year or two. That's why that is. And of course, we do lots of things over there. We do Reiki and healing work. I'm a channel, so you know, we never know quite what's going to happen, but we do it. You know, do what we can to help you. I also have two things coming up. I have my monthly class for women, the Temple of the Divine Feminine, is this coming Saturday, August 27th. We do it via Zoom. And if you want to be part of that, you can find out more about it at ReikiOasis.com or sign up at schedule.ReikiOasis.com for everything. And then if you have been thinking about studying Reiki, I have several people. I've taught Reiki for 30 years, right? A lot of people their heart is calling to them and they're finding that they want to get into more of spiritual work or service to humanity, or maybe it's time to bring their gifts to the world. And so if Reiki is on that path for you, I will be doing all 3 levels of Reiki. Reiki 1 will be September 10th, Reiki 2 will be October 8th, and Reiki Masterclass will be November 12th. So you could go through the entire training before the end of the year and really launch yourself out there. So, you know, while we're doing the show today, maybe your heart will call to you and it will make sense, and you will know if it makes sense for you. By the way, I do believe everybody should study Reiki 1, even kids and dogs and pets, and everyone should know how to do it because it just really connects you with a deeper dimension of yourself, and off you go from there. This good foundational stone. And then big shout out and thank you to my listeners that support on Patreon. I'm a listener supported show, and big love to all of you. Quick check-in with astrology. We have to do it. August 22nd through the 25th, and today is the 25th, the sun has been conjunct Regulus, and Regulus is one of the 4 royal stars in the sky and is considered the protector of the north sky. It rules our crown chakras and brings positive energy our way. So some of you have been telling me, Loretta, what's going on? Like I'm all over the place. My crown. Oh, my daughter used to call it the clown chakra. How's your clown chakra, mama? So, joy could open that crown right up. I don't know, lift right off the planet, off we go. But if you've been having this kind of upsurge of energy, this desire for things, maybe even having trouble sleeping, well, your soul could be calling to you. And then coming on August 22nd, Monday, this past Monday, the sun did move into Virgo. We left the fiery Leo and went into the practical, organized Virgo. Thank you, Virgo, for showing up in my life, because now maybe I can get things organized and cleaned up. And I got to be honest with you, I'm a fire sign. So when Leo was here, I was messy and emotional and happy. And now Virgo's like, let's get it done. And I'm like, yeah. Let's get it done. So Virgo, the Virgin goddess, is about independence, strength, and doing things not for others, but for us. And that's not selfish. Sometimes it needs to happen. The Virgin goddess was powerful in herself, and she didn't need a partner in life. She was confident, self-reliant, and she could be with whom she wanted, when she wanted, and she didn't need to answer to anybody. Through all this freedom, however, she always honored herself and treated her body as her temple. And that's the energy that we're going to be transiting for the next month. And I really suggest you put it to good use, right? August 24th, which was yesterday, Uranus, that planet of freedom and sudden change, entered retrograde until 2023. Uranus is the planet of change and awakening, and as it enters retrograde for the rest of this year, we are able to look back over the changes that we have made over the last 7 months and assess where we have landed. And I want to remind people that last year the predominant energies was Uranus, the planet of freedom, banging up against Saturn, the planet of karma and structure, and bang, bang, bang. What's it going to be? Are we going to keep doing it the same old way? Are we actually going to close a chapter on a book? Are we going to look at the world around us and ourselves and say, oh my goodness, I'm amazing. I'm still alive. I've crawled through life and flown through life. And I got that, that grease on my face, right? I think Jeanine's done that too. My guest today, I'll introduce her in a minute. But we have a fresh, clean page in front of us. My beautiful listeners, a fresh, clean page. It is the first page of the trilogy. Yeah, it is. It's your trilogy. You're the hero. You're the heroine. You get to figure it out. And I suggest that we just kind of brush the cobwebs away and step forward into it. Now, today, August 25th, I'm going to look at Vedic astrology for just a second. Venus is at midpoint of Rahu Ketu, which is 22 degrees Cancer, Aries Libra, for those people that understand. And this is a karmic time in the area of relationships. It's the best time to evaluate your past relationships and how they have shaped you as a person. So I suggest, especially today and tomorrow, that you take the opportunity to see how you can move forward and heal from any past unpleasant experiences. You may even think about an important person from your past, or you may have some contact with them. And this transit is going to test the stability of your current relationships. So there can be unexpected urges or events that happen. And that just means that you need to take a deeper look at it and kind of evaluate, what is it that you did yesterday that might have served you very, very well? But maybe there's an impulse within you right now. Maybe you need to freshen it up, dust it off, or even revisit it. And when I say relationships, I mean all relationships. Your intimate relationships, your relationship with your job, your relationship with your family, and your relationship with yourself, of course. So when we take a look at it, we can just do it in a new way. And then coming up Saturday, August 27th, new moon in Virgo. So Mars is once again active under this new moon, helping us to connect with our passions. Mars can also help us conquer our fears. take a leap of faith in a direction we have been wanting to go, but we didn't have the energy or the courage or the fire to just do it. Whenever Mars energy is strong, we do have to be mindful of being too impulsive or hasty or allowing our temper to get the better of us. But overall, this new moon might feel a little harsh to some people, might have some funky energy. Some people are saying, I'm uneasy, Loretta, what's happening? But remember that we can always work our way through it by trying to remember the message of Virgo, the Virgin Goddess. Trust ourselves, find our independence, and remember to always treat your body as a temple. And I don't mean an old crumbled temple, because I love going to Egypt, right? I mean, freshen it up. Thanks to Jeanine for laughing. So anyway, I'm going to bring my guest in. She's been patiently waiting, and I'm seeing her spark up with that astrology. Like, that astrology was written for you to be on the show today, wasn't it? I mean, it's just crazy.
Exactly.
So that's insane, right? So to everybody, do you feel like you've lost yourself on your way amid the constant flow of information, the busyness of modern life? Do you have a nagging feeling something isn't quite right? It's missing or disconnected? Or do you sense or know that some aspect of your life is no longer fulfilling? That sounds like my astrology report. So anyway, life's greatest invitations for growth often masquerade as unease, yearning, or challenges. Quietly or loudly, the invitation can lead to a 911 from your soul that may ask you to make a radical change. And my transformational coach, Jeanine Thompson, is my guest today. She's a formal clinical psychotherapist, a highly successful Fortune 50 executive, and she explains everything in her new book, 911 from Your Soul. Thanks for coming to my show, Jeanine. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Loretta. I'm so excited to be with you and your listeners.
Yeah, so you fell out of the sky today, apparently, on the back of a star.
Yes, very likely did.
I would love for you to kind of introduce yourself to the audience and tell us, how did you get to what you are currently doing? Because you have this history of doing other things.
Yeah.
So kind of give us a little bit of history about you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yes, my career has been very eclectic. I started out as an evidence-based psychotherapist treating panic disorder, obsessive compulsive disorders, and psychiatry for a decade. So the important piece of that, it was very evidence-based, what was proven. It's kind of funny because I made fun of what I do now today, and I think that was very intentional in my dharma. So that was the first 10 years. The second 12 years, I was a Fortune 50 international executive, was the head of international HR, and helped a couple of companies open up their international businesses around the world, which was also, I love the intelligence of the universe. Like, I wouldn't have chosen that. I avoided every single business class. My mind doesn't work that way. And yet, that's where I, landed and was guided. And it became such a tremendous gift to meet all these beautiful souls around the world and learn about their cultures and their values and what made them come alive, and to really see how similar we were around the world. And then I started a transformational coaching practice about 12 years ago, combining what I call the beauty of the Ann, science-based techniques. I still have that clinical mind that's interested in the sciences, but I'm more interested in the truth of who we are as divine expressions and the energetic world and our unlimited potential. So today, whether I'm speaking, writing, or coaching, at the core of what I help people do is turn inward, to come home to their soul or their inner genius, whatever language or experience works for them. But that's where the gold is. That's where the vast wisdom is, the creative inspiration. And I think it's only inward that we can find lasting peace and joy and happiness, and how we're here to uplift the world.
You know, I have traveled the world a lot, and of course, I lived in Saudi Arabia for almost 9 years. And you just said something that I actually like to point out to people and have them consider. Often we get so caught up on our differences at the surface, like your hair color's different than mine, and I love your lipstick. I should have it, it matches my shirt, but
Thank you. It's happy.
Yeah, it is. I love it. But we get so caught up on that we forget that we all have basic needs, everybody. And I've always looked at the world as souls on a journey. And, you know, it's like if we can figure out how to find happiness, or we can figure out how to find fulfillment, or just stop, right? So in your book, you know, you take us through, it's really beautiful, right? You take us through all kinds of things to get to that point of discovering the self at some level. So I don't really know what my question is there, but if you could just talk a bit about what it is that you have laid out in your book. And I'd also like you to actually share from your own personal life, what is it that catalysted you into this? Because the name of your book, 911 from the Soul, and I know I've just laid out the whole interview right there in those few sentences, but jump right in there and just kind of fill that in for us.
Sure. So the phrase 911 from your soul came out of my own personal experience. It was a time in my life where it looked like the details of my life from the outside were outstanding. You know, I had great children who we just had a really delicious, fulfilling, wondrous relationship. I had the big job, the travel, the cars, the accoutrements of success. And from the outside looking in, it's like, wow, you know, she's got it going on. She's got it all. And yet for several years, there was this persistent yearning, always in the middle of the night, usually at 3:33 a.m. I just kept hearing, there's more for you and there's more through you. And I, at that time, was still kind of in my science orientation. So I just thought it was a bit of a nuisance that I was being woken up in the middle of the night. But ultimately, it led me on a search for what was missing. I was caught in the trappings of outward definitions of success, and my soul was saying, listen, there is something more for you. And a beautiful thing happens when you don't know the answers. I didn't know the answers. All my best practices were failing me. All of my education, all of my success couldn't lead me back home to my soul. So it led me to yoga and Reiki, which again, I used to make fun of. And I think that was the intelligence of life teaching me and humbling me in some ways. And it was that beautiful union of mind, body, and spirit I had never learned about. And I became obsessed in the best possible way with learning everything about soul. And I believe only inward can we find what it is we're truly looking for. So when you asked about how did I lay out the book, it was that. It was helping people tune into, gosh, am I having a 911 for my soul? Because I believe many individuals are.
Yes.
I think we collectively are. I think we're collectively being asked to return home inward and tune in with our wisdom so we can live a more harmonious life, not only within ourselves, but frankly, towards one another and our planet. And so the book is laid out with the 7 key principles. And these 7 key principles, soul, mind, body, heart, gratitude, service, and love, are a blueprint. And they'll give you an earth view of each, and I'll give you a soul view of each. And that's who we are. I think we're a a spiritual being, a soul in a wonder suit, of a body. And it helps us create greater coherence between our truest nature of the highest expression we are and our humanness. And I think that's what we're all needing to do, is find that beauty of the and, so we truly can create the world that we all long for.
So many people come to me and they will say something similar to what you said, like, Loretta, it's not that I'm unhappy, but I'm not happy, right? It's not that I'm not fulfilled, it's just that I'm not fulfilled, right? So there's that missing element. And it's a question. So that is the 911 from the soul?
Yeah, for me, it was. It can look a little different. For me, it was this something elusive was missing. And I tried to gratitude it away. Every night I'd be in prayer,
Yeah.
so grateful for this and that. But that softness, my goodness gracious, I have do not disturb on and silence. But apparently we had a visitor.
I was going to say someone was calling.
That's exactly right.
The soul just said, no, we got to go.
It was a 911. Emergencies get
That's
through.
what
I think
okay.
they were saying
All
ding,
right.
ding, ding.
Okay.
We're on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
So it can look different. It can be something missing for your life. You might just wake up in the morning and not feel the same juice. You go to the same job, but the fire's not there. Or maybe you're being asked to shift something radically in your life. A relationship might be ending that you didn't choose, and or that you know you need to choose but don't want to. You might have a health crisis, a financial crisis, and all of them, though they seem like a challenge or crisis, I consider them to be one of the greatest love notes from the universe. It's actually saying, hey, there is more through you. There is more for you. And if you can just embrace this unknown, and it's scary, but all growth occurs in the dark. Like if you think of seeds,
Right.
flowers, plants, it's all in the dark. And it's in that unknown that we actually become open. Because I wasn't open. I had been through many stressful things in my life. And I tell you what, 30 years ago, when I was a science-based psychotherapist, if somebody would have talked to me about coming home to soul and some of the practices I teach, I'm like, yeah, I would smile politely and then moved on with my best practice articles,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, been there. Me too. Yeah.
Is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
so you get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just smiling. Back in the day when I started Reiki Oasis, like stepped away from traditional work, whatever that is, right? And stepped into this pathway. I remember it just going like, there's this tug, this pull that you're just going to do this thing now. You just have to do it, or you're going to die or something.
You're going to regret it if you don't, right?
Right.
Minimum. Yeah.
Right. And then trying to figure out what people were like, Loretta, what do you do? I still get that to this day. Like, Loretta, what do you do? Right. Right.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
yeah, so there it is. I also liked something that you said. And, when we talk about 911 from the soul, right, this calling from the soul, this signal, you also brought it down into what I call the very living level of life. So, because you mentioned in your book that a common theme among 911 events is a shift in identity of some kind. But it doesn't have to be a massive shift, or does it?
No, I think that's what was difficult. I couldn't pin it down to one simple explanation that would apply to everyone. For me, it was a loss of identity. I didn't realize how much I had falsely identified with my role as a Fortune 50 executive. And even as a mom, it was my human roles. And so it ended up being a major identity shift. When I left my job, I thought, who am I now? Like, who am I now? And I think for people who are going through relationship challenges or health challenges or financial challenges, that same question arises. Who am I? I'm no longer who I knew myself to be. So what does that mean now? You know?
Yeah.
But for some people, it's a softer, quieter whisper in the middle of the night saying, yes, everything's okay. And yet, this isn't enough for you, my dear. You know,
Yeah.
tune in. I'll light the way. We don't even have to figure it out. That's the myth we bought into. And, you know, being somebody who used to be kind of a planner and having things organized, and I must control for this, manipulate this. We actually don't even have to figure it out. The intelligence of life will move to us, away from us, and through us for the highest good of all.
I love the fact that you said we don't have to figure it out, because I often think people are thinking too much, right? And then I have sometimes I say to people, if you could stop trying to figure it out, the only thing left is figuring it out, right? Like I think it's Yoda said, there's no trying, there's just do or not do.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely. But it's the opposite. It is the sheer antithesis of what we were taught, right? So science would say we have up to 70,000 thoughts a day. And we literally say things like, figure it out, use your head. So we've been taught that the head holds the answer, when what we actually even know from a science perspective now is that we've got three brains. We've got a gut brain, a heart brain, and a head brain, and the information is ascending. It actually flows up. So most of our intelligence, and this isn't new, by the way, it's just new to most of us. The first gut brain book was in 1907. And, you know, heart intelligence, and of course, you and I'm assuming, like, I believe in timeless ancient wisdom. It was long before 1907. But for those who need a sprinkling of science to help them make this turn into embracing soul and the invisible intelligence, we've got to unlearn and realize that we need our big brains. They're wonderful. They are an asset we can't live without. But your true wisdom is going to come from the gut and the heart's intelligence. And then the brain will plan it out for you. Then the planning comes into place.
Yes. We're going to take a little station break, and don't go away, because when we come back, I want to talk more about who's really in charge, the brain, the heart, or what's that other thing, right? Maybe it's the soul. We'll find out. This is Loretta Brown. My guest today, Jeanine Thompson. We're talking about her book, 911 from Your Soul. And we'll take a station break. We'll be right back.
Did you know that Reiki healing can be done at a distance? It's true. So let Reiki Oasis focus powerful energy to help relieve your stress, grief, sadness, anger, and so much more. Convenient, personalized treatments at a distance can increase lightness of being. During your appointment, find a quiet place to lie down or sit to receive healing energies. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
Alternative Talk 1150. We're on your radio at 1150 AM. We're on your HD radio at 98.9 Channel 3.
So many ways to listen.
We're on the web at 1150kknw.com. Streaming live audio and video, as well as MP3 archives of many of our shows.
So many ways to listen.
And now, we're on your smartphone or tablet. Download our free app in the Apple App Store or Google Play and take Alternative Talk 1150 anywhere you go.
So many ways to listen.
Alternative Talk 1150, here to uplift your day.
Welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show with my guest, Jeanine Thompson. We're talking about her book, 911 from the Soul. A reminder that these shows are archived. There's hundreds of them. I've been on the radio for a long time. And yeah, I know, like, wow, who knew, right? And you can go to the original Loretta Brown Show at the KKNW 1150 AM archives. You can find us on iTunes, Podcast One, Spotify, all over the place. Let's just put it that way. And do listen to them again. I want to ask you, Jeanine, by the way, during the break, we were talking about your path a little bit, your dharmic path. And I just want to say this to you. You feel to me as though you have deepened and enriched and expanded through everything that you've gone through to get to this point. And I just am saying that on the air because when people look around to find someone to go to, I think people like you are the best people for them to go because you've gone through it. Like, you know, as a healer or as a channel or as a worker with people, I know that you can only take people to where you've been. That's the truth. So if you've been through the entire underworld and came up the other side, you can kind of show people how to get there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way that you can connect, that's just simply not possible if we at some level haven't walked in the shoes.
Yeah.
Similar shoes. They're always different, but.
So what is soul?
Yeah. So soul to me is who we are. It's eternal essence. It's here before we're born, and while we're here in this third dimension, when we leave this physicality, it is the wisest part of us who always knows the best decisions, the experiences along the way that you were meant to have to evolve your growth. It always is your best friend, like the great friend who is cheering you on and whispering, "You've got this. You can do this. I know this. This is who you are." I think it is a God seed expression. I think that we are nearly 8 billion lights across this beautiful globe. And with all of us living the embodied soul that we are, holy wow, the world that we can create is incredible. And it's what most of us sense is possible. We just got to be more of our true nature more of the time.
So bring into this conversation the mind, because you know as well as I do that often people will say, "Oh my goodness, if I wasn't afraid, or if I had $15 million, I would do blah blah." And then the next thing is the mind goes, "What do you think you're talking about?" Right?
Are you crazy? Absolutely not. Yes, right? So the mind, 70,000 thoughts, that's a lot. And I'm sure many of us have experienced that in the middle of the night, you know, the spin. And it's a beautiful organ, and it's great for analytics and logics and carrying out the plans of your heart's intelligence, which I believe is the will of your soul. So I think where the gold really is in through what the mystics and scholars refer to as the spiritual heart. So similar to our mind, where we have a physical organ, a brain, and we have a consciousness, the mind, the heart has a physical organ of the pump organ. We've got the emotional heart, which we've all felt. You know, those times we were newly in love or blown away, drawn in by a sunset and taken away, or where we've been literally or metaphorically on our knees with heartbreak or worry or pain. We don't know how to navigate. But just like the stacked dolls, you know, with the different layers of energy, the deepest layer of the heart is the spiritual heart. And that is where this vast treasure trove of unlimited intelligence, the universe embodied, an answer to anything you're trying to solve right now. That's where that rests. So and then our wonderful gut is those instincts where we just have this sense, right? So if we can rely mostly on the intelligence of our spiritual heart, tuning into the gut instincts, and then inviting our beautiful brain in to plan the steps, we're gold. But one trick I tell people is when their ego's speaking, it's always fear-based. I'm not so sure you should do that. Who are you? You're not quite all that, and it's usually critical and it holds us back out of protection. I actually don't view the ego from a psychological or a spiritual perspective as bad, but rather as a part of you that needs to be harmonized with the spiritual heart. But when I hear my ego rolling away, I'll joke with myself and say, Pumpkin, is that your 5 a.m. false self, that conditioned self of you that's full of biases, full of fears? Or is that your divine nature? And just that one question goes, oh gosh, I fed right into my false self again. Yeah. And I'm going to choose to be my true self. Even if I don't believe it, I'd say, what would my true self say? The canvas is unlimited. There's a solution. There's not just one, there's many. And it helps me shift from here right back into my heart.
That's a great way to get yourself clear, because so many people get caught in that spin.
Oh, yes.
And they just start spinning. And then they get caught up with trying to figure it out. Like, I'm in this corner, I got to get out. And so say that question again. I want the listening audience to really get
I
it.
will often say, is that my 5 a.m. false self? Because sometimes I wake up in bed and that false self is overwhelmed by, the day or whatever it is. And then I'll joke with myself and say, Pumpkin, is that your true self? And then I'll kind of roll my eyes and go, got it. And then I'll say, what would my true self say? And our true self will always, without fail, guide you to a more expansive possibility. Yeah. It'll help you tune into the love notes from the universe, which there are thousands of them every day, inviting us to remember. And then the pressure's off. But it's something that took me a long time, especially since I was an evidence-based psychotherapist, a cognitive behavioral therapist. It was about reframing the mind, changing the mind, the limiting beliefs. And although I do some of that work now today with hypnosis and etc., folks are really having a tough time. It really is tuning into the soulful self and that unlimited mind of possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot in what you're saying. Sometimes people come to me and they'll be like, Loretta, I don't know whether I should do A or B or what should I do? And I'm kind of a firm believer that if you can't really know if you're just sitting still, but if you start to move in a direction, even if it's energetic, then you can get, like you say, those love notes from the universe. Like, yes, this is the right way, keep going, or adjust your path just a little bit and do this.
Absolutely. I always say we can't make a wrong decision. Right. The universe, if we're tuned in and say, help me here, like, give me a giant sign I simply can't miss, and we'll get a course correction. And so feel free to experiment. If we tune into our body, it might be tight as all get out in our shoulders or our belly, or it might feel like a big breath of air. It's alive. And all those little signs are like, keep going. And if we're meant to redirect, boy, I tell you what, it becomes unmistakable. There's struggle. You feel like you're slugging your way through. It's scarier. We'll get course corrected, which is the love of all that is.
Yeah. And you can't do it wrong. I love what you said also about tuning into the self, and you can actually sense it or feel it, or there's an indicator within your own body.
Many could be as simple as goosebumps. Sometimes somebody says something and whoa, you get goosebumps. That happens with me with sacred literature, even in language like Aramaic that I don't understand. But the soul always recognizes the deeper energetic. And so it can be that resonance. It can be a creative inspiration. You're walking down the street and all of a sudden it's like, I got it. And you know, there's a new corner for you to explore. It could be a song on the radio. It could be a conversation you overhear. Like, the universe is clever. And I find it quite delicious to just see. I get curious and say, surprise me. Go ahead and surprise me today. I want to see what, you know.
Yeah.
What
Yeah. Yeah. And don't forget to ask. You brought that up too. Just say, hey, just, you know, I need some love notes. Could you send them? Yeah. Just.
I will joke and say, Yoo-hoo, a little help here.
Yeah.
And even for people who don't have a belief, soul is not resonant ubiquitously across the globe. Maybe entelechy is. I love the notion of entelechy. Aristotle's philosophy and exploration of the development of an organism, like it's the entelechy of an acorn seed to become an oak tree, or a butterfly to become a caterpillar. Maybe that'll resonate with you, or maybe you call it nothing. But when you're really honest with yourself, you remember a time where you got a call out of the blue and it was the exact call you needed, or you had this, ooh, it's not this. And there's great contrast and clarity. And so you listened. So you come to recognize we never travel alone, both within us, all around us every day, and I believe beyond us. There is love that is rooting you on, cheering you on, and holding you every step.
I love what you just said, because I know you say this too, but I have the privilege of hearing the most marvelous things from people, and they'll go, Loretta, do you think that, you know, that was a message or something? And I'm going, just think about it. You can't make this stuff up, right?
Exactly, right?
You can't. The synchronicity of it, or this person said that, and then that person over there said the same thing, and then you turn on the radio and there it is. Seriously, you're wondering.
Yeah, you can't make it up, and you also can't orchestrate it.
That's
what
right.
I came to learn, I used a lot of I in my 20s and early 30s. I did this, I have to organize this, it's on my shoulders. And I was traveling 200,000 to 300,000 miles internationally, a single mom that had some medical concerns. So there's no doubt that I had to show up and navigate a lot. But here's the deeper truth. The people that I met, my career path, there's no career counselor who said, Jeanine, you know, I think psychotherapy, business, but don't take any business classes. And then Reiki master and yoga teacher that you make fun of, that's the path, dear. No way. And that has given me enormous comfort. Even when I feel overwhelmed today, or I'm unsure, I sit back and I just say to myself, beloved, remember, you never were traveling alone. You didn't organize all of this stuff. You just simply couldn't have. And what a relief. Oh my gosh, we don't have to crack the code on our own.
Yeah. I don't know who said the universe is always conspiring in our favor.
Yes, I love that, how
Yeah.
true that is. But back to the love notes, you know, in my book, I do share a picture actually on my website. One day I was struggling with someone and I thought, oh, I don't want this call. And I was having difficulty finding the love. And I went outside and I was grounding outside and I was watering my basil leaves. And sure enough, there was the clearest heart-shaped cutout in my basil leaf. And whatever I notice, I always stop and say, what's the message for me? So I closed my eyes, hand on the heart, and it said, you know how to find love in everything. find the love. So I went into stillness, and sure enough, by the time I had this interaction, I could genuinely show up with an appreciation for all the ways this individual did show up with love. But what turned the corner were two simple things. I noticed what I noticed, and I asked what it meant. And it was a basil leaf, for heaven's sakes, with a heart in it. So that's the cleverness of the universe. Like, go figure, who's watching basil leaves, So eyes wide open, because if you walk through life with that kind of presence, you can't help but feel supported and loved and guided.
Yeah. Yeah. I just love what you're saying so much.
Oh,
So the stillness.
yes.
Talk about the stillness.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that often it's a topic that many people like myself avoid with the plague. So this whole notion of stillness, I was like, not for this type A on the road. I got too much to do. By the way, stillness is idle and it's unproductive. So no, that was my answer. But in the dark days of the unknown, I was more open. And I just stillness at the simplest level is shifting from our busy brain to the core of our being. I typically put one hand on my heart center, one hand on my belly, because we follow touch in our body. So it helps us shift from the busy brain inward so we can embody our body and just really consciously feel the breath. Feel the inhale. I imagine it enlivening my trillions of cells. Feel the exhale. That's it. Feel the inhale and the exhale and listen. And ultimately, it is your gateway to expanded potentiality. So it actually is very simple. And I have a lot of clients like me, and I said, here's the deal. 30 seconds, or like, Jeanine, I'm back to back to back, or I'm picking my kids up. I don't have time. And I'm like, here's what I know to be true for sure. And I don't know a lot for sure, but this one I do. 30 seconds is not going to matter. So I want you to close down your eyes, shut down the information overload, and just feel the breath in your body for 30 seconds. And if that crazy busy mind kicks in, I simply want you to say, noted, retouch, and then that's it. And what happens 30 seconds to 2 minutes in the morning, at night, ideally throughout the day, soon you're going to start to get little whispers. You're going to get ideas that weren't there before. So I can't say enough about stillness and the resistance to it, but I know we've all got 30 seconds, and it's amazing what it does to resettle your energy and open up the gateway to the truth of who you are.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important things people can learn. Absolutely, hands down.
I am with you, hands down. I said that in the book. I
Hands
think it's
down.
the most profound practice. Now, I do think, and this was a good learning for me, sometimes stillness is quieter. You sit and it's quiet, but the data is actually really clear that you can get to that same level of brain waves through a freeing run where we lose our busy mind. The key is we got to lose and soften the busy mind so we actually can tune into the subtle love notes, whispers within. So music will do that, painting, art, a freeing run. So the truth is you get to do you. We're not all wired the same. So go do those active pursuits if that's more your jam, but challenge yourself to integrate at least 30 seconds of stillness. And I think you'll be surprised. Most of my clients start there. And then they might want to spend 15, 20 minutes over time, because it resets the entire trajectory of the day, the week, the month, the exquisite beauty, but also heightened division and chaos right now in the world.
Yes.
I think it's a miracle free tool that we all can do. Like, we can't fail at it. How wonderful is that?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's available to us anytime. And I'm with you.
Great
We're so overstimulated. We've got a screen in front of us all the time, or we've got information coming at us all the time. And yeah, a lot of people are like, have we lost the art of focus and concentration, or just emptying the mind? Mhm.
I think you hit it. I was reading one, so I'm still a nerd. I've got this bit to me that I still love the science.
Yeah, me too.
Some would consider completely woo-woo too, but I was reading that, our average attention span since the iPhone, because there's constant swiping, has gone down to 8 seconds. So part of it is we have mind stories that say, I simply can't concentrate. I'm too busy. And I'm going to ask you to say, all right, I'm willing to even be still for 30 seconds, even if it's not silent. Even if 20 times during the 30 seconds is, I need to call this person. I need to run to the store. I need to pick up my kids. And you'd simply go, noted, retouch, feel. Like, if we really feel that breath in our body, this little active mind of ours will dial in.
Well, and I also believe in the law of repetition. So the more you do this, and you are retraining your brain, right? It could be a way of saying it, but also
absolutely, I love that.
Yeah. And then tuning into, as you say, we have those 3 brains, come down in, right? Yeah.
And however you can get there. For some of my folks, like I said, the Russian stack dolls, like, just thinking of layers of yourself might be a way to think of getting into that spiritual heart. That is, everyone has it. Doesn't matter your age, your gender identification, your race, your height, your anything. None of that matters. At the core, we're just all essence, our soul.
Now, you work with people. Talk to the audience just a little bit about that. What do you do? How do you do it? How do people find you? Right?
Yeah, thank you. I work with people kind of in 3 different ways, either speaking on stage, although those have been a little light here in the last couple of years.
Understandably so.
Yes, but I can't wait for that opportunity again. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and really I call it potentiality immersion, but it's about what it is you're seeking, because I can draw from hypnotherapy. I can draw from my certified high performance protocol. I'll always infuse some science-based protocols if that's what they want. Or I simply teach them how to embody who they really are, and to come to an understanding that works for them. Soul works for me, but it might not for others. But what can they connect with that allows them to get this untapped potential? Because that's at the core of what I do. I believe we untapped potential on the table every single day. And it's actually that potential that will change your life, the life of your loved ones, and the life of our planet.
Oh, that's so well said. Yeah, and I'm just going to say this. I think our poor tired world needs that. So we need everybody. We need your light. We need your whatever you brought with you.
Everybody. And I think Mother Earth is speaking. I think she is saying, "Yoo-hoo, how much louder do I have to get here? I gave you some whispers. Talk about bricks." Like, this isn't an invitation for some of us. It is an invitation for all of us to actually become the highest and best version of who we signed up to be when we decided to visit Earth School.
I love it. So anyway, everybody, my guest today, Jeanine Thompson, speaker, transformational coach, former clinical psychotherapist, Fortune executive, and author of 911 from Your Soul. What's your website, Jeanine?
It's JanineThompson.net.
Wonderful. Please find her book, and bring your potential to the earth. We need you. Everybody, have a very, very fun week. Watch out for those relationships. Enjoy the moon, and lots of love. Thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you. It's been such a great joy.
Thank you, Benny. You're the best.
The views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers.